A blockchain security team just discovered a major exploit on the XRP ledger that essentially opens a back door and allows hackers to access private keys and then drain your wallets. This is confirmed true because even the chief technology officer over at Ripple, David Schwartz, reposted it and then confirmed by stating a quote that this is a critical warning. But are you at risk for holding XRP? Will this affect the entire XRP ledger, or is the impact localized? How will this actually impact the XRP token if hackers steal a bunch of XRP and then sell it at the market for cash before potentially trying to launder it? Well, stay tuned because in this video, I'll share who's at risk and how to avoid losing your crypto if you're in the cohort that is. Also, the entire crypto market is at a major inflection point, and today, I'm talking within 24 hours, and I truly mean that, and I'll show you on the charts, we will actually get confirmation about whether or not this is a massive bull trap and we're in for some new lows, or this is the start of a new trend. So I'll be covering that alongside some interesting posts from creators on X that will also give us more insights into what's happening in the crypto markets, as well as the latest video on Trump's executive order surrounding the crypto strategic reserve from Michael Regan, who is the head of crypto over at Bloomberg. So let's dive into the video. And as always, folks, if you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777. And if you're going to be the wealthiest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. Hello and welcome back to the channel, my friend. If you're new here, my name is Paul, and you can find me on Twitter or X at PauliDeFi, PAULIE. DEFI. Now, directly from Aikido Security, which was reposted and shared by David Schwartz, which means it is a legitimate issue right now. On the XRPL NPM package, there is a backdoor that is allowing hackers to basically steal private keys. And obviously, when they steal your private keys, your crypto is virtually all but gone. And here they actually shared the exploit, which, by the way, if you're not a developer, especially in the blockchain, this is going to be a bit confusing. However, they did highlight it. Now, notice that it is the XRPL.js. I saw a lot of people all over social as of this morning get a bit worried, freaking out, potentially trying to figure out how to protect their XRP, but they didn't really understand that this is on a developer side. And the fact that Ledger's integration, in other words, if you have it on a Ledger, your XRP, it is actually unaffected and safe. You simply wouldn't want to upgrade any versions of your DeFi wallets right now, just in case. If your money or your XRP is currently in your wallet, you're probably good to go. The XRP ledger itself is unaffected by this, which means the whole network on XRP is still secure. The malware packages only affect services that use their JavaScript or JS and upgraded to the malicious versions that were published less than 24 hours ago. In other words, the GitHub remains safe and only the NPM was compromised, which is a node package model. And again, if this sounds like jargon to you, you're probably good to go, as well as if you hold XRP on any centralized exchange like Binance, Kraken, Coinbase, you name it, as well as Zomin, First Ledger, and even the Gen 3 Games wallet. Now, basically the way this happened is the NPM had a contributor and the contributor's credentials were hacked. This could have been social engineering. They could have reached out through a private phone call trying to be a member of the family, or maybe they found access to some of their private keys, or just had simple logins. I'm not too sure how all of that went down, but essentially this was a contributor hack, and all of the checks were circumvented by the hacker, which then allowed them to access this portion of the code. However, it's important to remember that if your money or your XRP is currently in one of these wallets, or generally speaking, if you check it on a wallet and it's still there, you're honestly probably good to go. I would still refrain from making any transactions over the upcoming 24 hours potentially, and also just not upgrade to anything. But as of now, things are looking good to go. So you're probably good. Now, as things stand, we are currently at a major inflection point on Bitcoin and XRP is Bitcoin recently broke to a new local high of $92,800, and XRP is sitting at $2.22, just back up to those local highs of around 223, which is painting a very bullish pattern. And arguably, this is an inverse head and shoulders. As you can see, this is our shoulder, this is our head, and this is our next shoulder. However, it is not a complete pattern yet. We need a break above, which is why it's important to pay attention to the macro side of things, and especially Bitcoin. If Bitcoin continues to rally and move, so will your strongest performers. But no altcoin, not even XRP, is going to move in a bearish environment. So there's a very much a possibility that this is a bull trap. People are trapped into being bullish on a new local high before a breakdown, which is why we need to be a little bit cautious and not enter with a huge bag right away just because we're fearing, we fear missing out. In other words, we're experiencing FOMO, which is an emotion that wrecks a lot of people in all markets, not just crypto. Now, that said, there are a few major pieces of bullish news we're also going to go ahead and look at. The first thing is this post, and I'll go ahead and get out of the way. I'll even make myself smaller. Raoul Pal just shared the M2 money supply on a global scale in terms of the billions, currently sitting at about 100 and I want to say $40 billion. No, the red is Bitcoin. So we're sitting at about $110,000 billion. In other words, this is trillions of dollars. And what he's basically stating is that pretty consistently, Bitcoin has followed by a lag on the M2 money supply. So as you can see here, this is on a lag, but the black line is the money supply. And wherever the black line typically goes, Bitcoin follows months later. And as things stand, Bitcoin is likely going to break out. I'm not saying it is complete just yet, and we do want to pay attention to the daily today. However, M2 money supply has increased, and so we thoroughly expect Bitcoin to also follow. If Bitcoin follows, then the rest of the crypto market and XRP will likely also follow. That said, he said maybe, just maybe, it was this easy all along. If this works, it will definitively prove that liquidity is the dominant factor in markets. Not tariffs, not politics, not rates, not insert a narrative. Literally, as money increases in the market, typically assets that are risk on will also increase in price. Now, things are even more bullish because of the fact that we're actually witnessing the largest increase in new whales in Bitcoin history. Whales are stacking Bitcoin at a record pace. And by the way, this pink line right here is the Bitcoin whale chart. Now, I'm not too sure how they calculate a Bitcoin whale, whether that's holding 100 Bitcoin, whether that's holding 1,000 Bitcoin. I would reasonably assume it's at least a couple hundred Bitcoin because that's a stupid amount of money. But realistically, a whale, in my opinion, would probably be closer to 1,000 Bitcoin. If you hold 1,000 Bitcoin, I would consider you a whale in Bitcoin. And that is a lot of money. And as you can see, this pink line right here, or this pink area, is the whale chart. So more and more and more people have been accumulating more and more and more Bitcoin. This is arguably institutional players, and we do need institutional support at a crypto scale in order to see markets rally and improve. And so maybe this explains why not only have we been seeing exchange reserves on Bitcoin consistently decline, which again is very bullish for the entire crypto market, being that it's the largest crypto asset by market cap, but we also just saw a new low on the breakout today, and this is a new low all time on exchange reserves, which means more and more people are buying Bitcoin, withdrawing from exchanges because they expect the prices to be higher in the future than they are right now. This is typically indicative of demand, and guess what? If you remove the supply and the demand remains the same, then the price will continue to climb. So again, very basic supply and demand economics, but it seems to hold true, right? Price pretty consistently goes up as supply decreases. And so it seems that whales are accumulating. It seems like the price action is looking good. It seems that even with a hack on XRP, it's breaking to new local highs. Again, all of these things are very bullish. And then to combine that with the fact that Trump just issued an executive order not too long ago, right, which we've already heard about over and over and over, to create the strategic Bitcoin reserve, we also have new information from Michael Reagan. Let's listen listen.
President Trump issued an executive order to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Right now, his crypto team, is studying how to accomplish that and how to possibly buy more Bitcoin to add to that. They don't want it to be taxpayer money used to fund that. But there are other assets. There's talk about monetizing some of the Fed's gold and using it to buy Bitcoin. There's other, notions being thrown around about how they can do it a budget neutral way to buy Bitcoin. So I think that is sort of the unsung, I think, catalyst that's also part of this huge rally right now, in addition to sort of that macro element of limited supply and dollar weakness, sort of rekindling that original notion of Bitcoin as a hedge against uncertain monetary policy.
And so diving into the charts here, you can see that XRP, with all of the bullish news, is doing relatively well. Again, we have this inverse head and shoulders pattern right here. And so we definitely need a break above 223 at least on the daily time frame in order to be pretty confident. But what I am liking is the fact that we saw quite a decline in volume through this range. And now we're starting to see an increase in volume. Yesterday, we had about 34.4 million XRP in terms of dollars, by the way, not XRP, sorry, dollars traded in buying XRP. Then the next day we had a currently 28% gain in volume. I expect on a breakout this volume to expand and explode to above the average volume over a 90-day period, but definitely above that fourth standard of deviation, as we saw a lot of capitulation happen right here below down to 161. So it's very much possible and potential that this could be the very bottom of the range, which is why I'm watching so closely what happens today and tomorrow right here. This is so extremely important because here's what's happening. Right now, we still have a technical intermediate term downtrend. It's possible that we get a break right up to this range at 230 and then a break back below. And so if we see a break back below this yellow line right here at 223, I'm going to be very cautious, and this would likely be a bull trap. People are trapped into being bullish here, go long, the market moves against them, and they're consistently in a losing position. My stop loss on XRP is going to be right below these lows right here at about 203. In other words, if the price hits like between 201 to $2, I want to get out. And by the way, that's quite a big move considering that would be about 12 to 13%. So let's just say 12.7%. But if you take a small pilot buy, which means you don't go in with your whole portfolio just because you're FOMOing. FOMO is one of the worst things you can do. You will lose a lot of money over time, and honestly, you shouldn't be losing 12% of your entire portfolio on a single play, because it's possible that this is just the next, let's say, rally or retrace before the new leg down. So right now we are at a major inflection point on the daily. I would like to see this thing break out. I would like to see it break out on some volume. We had another bull trap right here on the Trump pump. And so we might have officially seen the bottom, but it remains to be seen if this is truly the bottom and we get new lower lows. XRP still has a long way to go down if we're in a bearish environment. So you've got to watch the price action closely. As things stand for Bitcoin is breaking out quite hard, which leads me to believe XRP will likely follow, right? We are currently sitting at $93,000, and here at about 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, the daily will close, which is the universal time. So that said, any close up into this range above 88,000 is going to be pretty bullish. I am liking the confirmation on volume right here. Things are looking pretty good for the entire crypto market. And by the way, I have added and will continue to add to my position as I see confirmation. So that said, I've taken a pilot buy. I'm going to watch the next daily close here very shortly. I'm going to watch what happens on the follow through, whether we break back down and are supported at 88. I'm happy. My actual stop loss is somewhere between 83, 8 all the way up to 84.4. So anywhere in this range is where my stop loss is going to be, which is again still very tight on a stop loss just to protect against any downside risk in the case that this is truly a bull trap. And so I'm not saying it is. I am believing that this is potentially our actual bottom and everyone expected lower lows, which is why I want to take a long position. But as with all things, you do want to practice caution. On a 3-day time frame, we have a stupid amount of support at the $78,000 level. And even if I pull those EMAs up, you can see that we're just about to cross back over on the 10 and 20 EMA, which has consistently been bearish since the drop right here on February 24th. So if we turn bullish right here, that's going to be a very good sign and good news. From a weekly time frame, this is looking pretty good. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is the fact that this is pretty weak volume. However, we still have 5 days left on this candle. So I do expect this thing to grow over the week and at least get back into that $1.2 to $1.3 billion. Again, I'm on Kraken, so that's relatively small, but for this exchange, it's a lot. On other exchanges, you'll see more, but I want it to be just below this guy or even above. If it is, that's going to be huge. I don't expect it to happen, but I definitely need it to be bigger than this guy right here on Monday the 14th on a weekly time frame. So if you want to learn more how to do technical analysis like I just did and really understand the charts, then actually head on over to bullrunners.com to check out Altcoin Pro University. I teach you everything on our Tuesday technical analysis calls, which I'm actually going to host right after this video. We have tons of members who are earning money with us, and I'm not saying you're guaranteed to, but we have all the right tools, training, and resources to help you become a pro in crypto. Everything from courses and resources and guides and one of the best communities in the entire game that show you how to put your crypto to work for you in terms of DeFi yields. The list goes on. We have members all over the world. If we click on map, you can see they're literally everywhere around the world. And if that ain't for you, still get access to our free ebook that is called Altcoin Secrets, your underground guidebook to becoming a crypto millionaire, where we share 23 secrets to pinpoint the next explosive altcoins and outsmart the 99% who are in crypto by applying the methods that we've learned over the years. I put a lot of time into putting this together for you guys, and so we want to make sure that you're getting all of the value you possibly can for free, because if we can prove to you that we can do this for free for you, then you're far more likely to want to join our course and membership. So thanks so much for watching this video, my friend. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Check out the links in the description in the bio below, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.